I want to thank our expert witnesses for joining us here today. As home to the Albany Cyber Command in Augusta, Georgia, my district is a hub for cybersecurity expertise, and we hear significant concerns about federal agency roles and regulatory burdens hindering our ability to secure critical infrastructure. Mr. Jeffer, cybersecurity, and you've already started to comment on this, cybersecurity professionals in my district highlight confusion over which agency, CISA, the Department of Defense, FCC, or others, has primary jurisdiction over securing critical infrastructure, which would include telecommunications, satellites, and undersea cables. This lack of clarity can impede responses to threats like you mentioned the Salt Typhoon breach. Mr. Jeffrey, how are the roles of CISA, DOD, and FCC currently defined, and what steps can reduce confusion to enhance coordination and protect our infrastructure?
Well, thanks, Mr. Vice Chairman. I mean, the challenge here is that there is no one agency in the government today responsible for defending our entire global cyber infrastructure. The U.S. is, which we've built around the globe. And that the problem is that if you expect private industry to do it, it won't succeed. If you don't task somebody in the government and give them the resources and the authorities to do it, it won't succeed. Now, in theory, we've said to U.S. Cyber Command, it's your job to defend the infrastructure against nation states. But of course, U.S. Cyber Command isn't resourced, doesn't have any authorities, and I'm not sure there's a consensus amongst Congress and the administration about whether the Department of Defense should do that defense. And in the absence of that consensus, the only way in which we can have the government work effectively with the industry is to share information at scale. We have legislation today, the Cyber Information Sharing Act that was passed in 2015, set to expire in the next few months. That needs to be reauthorized, but more importantly, we need to actually incentivize the sharing of information. We passed that authority, but we didn't provide the necessary regulatory and liability protections to encourage industry to actually share. And so their lawyers are telling them, do the minimal amount necessary. What you want to do is you want to line up boards of directors, you want to line up the lawyers, and you want to line up industry with government. Government wants information. It has information. Both need to share. Neither are doing it effectively because the incentives aren't there. And the government says, well, we're not going to share all classified information with industry. Well, if we're not going to do it, no one's going to do it. They're not going to know what the threat is. They're not going to defend well. And then we'll all be looking back and saying, why didn't they defend themselves better? And we'll have no one to blame but ourselves.
Thank you, sir. The Cyber Incident Reporting for Critical Infrastructure Act aimed to streamline reporting to CISA, yet stakeholders note persistent issues with the duplicative requirements across other agencies, including varying definitions and timelines, the very things that you're talking about, inconsistent incident definitions like substantial loss versus potential adverse effects, and a lack of reciprocity, diverting resources from mitigating threats like those from the Chinese Communist Party. Mr. Stroop and Mr. Stelling, how do these challenges impact the communications sector ability to secure infrastructure, and what can the FCC's new Council for National Security do alongside CISA to harmonize reporting, standardized definitions, and establish reciprocity to strengthen resilience? Mr. Stroop.
Thank you for the question. So most satellite systems are dual use, and as a result, many of the issues that we're talking about are addressed through our supply chain, because for a long time, the security of the supply chain has been important. There's a certification process that satellite companies need to go through in order to provide service to the U.S. military. But I think that getting to the cybersecurity issue in terms of sharing information, I think that the key is that the points that have been made by other members of the panel today, ensuring that there's a means of sharing the threats, giving companies an opportunity to address it. And whether that's done through CISA, the FCC, I think making sure that there is a single point where members of our industry and other industries have access to that information is key to being able to address them.
Mr. Stelling.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, I would agree. We have to speak in one voice. We have to send clear messages across the country on both the public and the private side. We have to send clear messages to our international partners that we speak in one voice. And then we have to use things like benchmarking and continuous improvement to measure how we're doing and how we do things like incident reporting. How do we more quickly deal with problems like that, to more quickly identify these incidences and to fix them?
Good. Well, I hear that we've got to centralize this issue, and we've got multiple agencies involved. So thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.